So I am super stoked for today's interview here on the Create Your Own Life podcast. We have with us somebody that I have admired for a long, long time. He's an entrepreneur, best-selling author, sales expert, real estate mogul, and just all-around badass. Welcome to the show, Grant Cardone.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, brother. I appreciate the title of your show, Create Your Own Life, because that's really what I've been focused on doing since I was 16 years old.
Well, and I think that's really big, too, and that's why I named the show that, because we all have the ability to create life on our own terms if we just want to, like you talk about, take full responsibility.
Yeah, look, if you don't like the cards you were given, my parents used to tell me, play the hand you were given. I'm like, why don't we just why don't we just change the game? Like, why don't I just throw these cards away, throw the whole deck away? And maybe there's going to be 40 cards rather than 52. Why can't I just recreate the whole game that I'm playing? And that's what people need to be thinking with right now, particularly millennials, where their parents are telling them, play the hand you were given, because that's what their parents did. And it worked out for some parents, and it didn't work out for others. But today you don't have to play just that hand.
Absolutely. And, the middle class is totally a trap, like you said, Grant. It's a big thing that we all get sucked into, and we never get big because we think small like that.
Yeah, well, politicians have been selling the middle class to the middle class so that they could get the votes of the middle class. And basically, I'm going to protect your job. I'm going to protect your wages. I'm going to protect your retirement. I'm going to take care of you when you're 65, blah, blah, blah. And millennials are looking around, by the way, saying, dude, that was a whole scam, the whole scam. You go to school, get a good job, borrow money to go to school, borrow money to start a business, borrow money once you have a job because the job doesn't pay you enough. The whole deal trapped hundreds of millions of people, some of which, by the way, are still hypnotized and under the spell of the middle class is going to protect me, when the truth is there is no protection there. And it's just for the vanity of politicians and the hope that politicians can earn those votes.
Totally. Well, Grant, we look at a lot of high performers on the show and kind of figure out what makes them tick. And I want to kind of find out what in your upbringing kind of helped you make the decision to be rich, because I think in society there's a lot of ways people look at that, and we're told being rich is a really bad thing.
Yeah. So, look, hey, all the high performers are obsessed. I mean, you give me any one name, like I could just sit down. I've done this at events, and I'm like, give me any one name of anyone you and I know in common. Mm-hmm. Any name that, like, hey, we both would know that name. You got a guy that's obsessed. You got a guy that's all in, all the time, over the top, out of range. Like, he takes the ship into the deepest waters he can because he knows that's what ships were built for. They're freaks, man. They're freaks. So all you guys out there with ADD, ADHD, obsessive compulsive disorder, embrace it, man. Okay? You're a genius. Like I got right now, I have at least 60 or 70 windows open that I'm aware of. I got way more windows open than on my computer.
Right.
And like if you look at my computer right now, you're going to see every browser that I've touched in the last 24 hours is open, because I might want to go back and look at something. I might want to maneuver something, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Google or whatever, or something I'm searching or researching. That my mind has like way more than that open.
Right.
And so when people say, look, man, you don't have your attention on one thing. No genius. Oh, by the way, I am saying I am a genius. And I'm saying that you're a genius. See, the problem is most people don't embrace their genius. And when you're a kid, you think that you're the superhero. Like most kids, before they're suppressed by their parents and by society and by teachers and schools, they're thinking, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that and I'm going to do this. I met this kid in Brooklyn. I said, dude, what are you going to do? He's like, I said, what's your dream? He's like, I want to have every dollar on the planet. Now, he don't want to be rich, dude. This guy wants to be the ultimate entrepreneur that owns and controls anything. Who am I to tell him he can't do that?
Love that.
And so I think mine started, to answer your question, I was 8 years old. I don't think anything happens one time. Mm-hmm. If it's going to happen to you, it's going to happen over and over. A number of times, you're going to get chipped away. So when I was 8 years old, I lost a quarter. I had a quarter in my pocket and I lost it in a manhole. And I went home and my dad said, don't play with money. And my grandfather, he was a cool dude. This guy was a super character, right? And he either had a bunch of money or he was broke.
Right.
And my grandfather said, the problem is not young grasshopper. He says, the problem is not that you had one quarter. The problem is not that you were playing with the quarter. The problem is you only had one quarter.
Right.
So that was like, I need to get a bunch of quarters. And then when I was 16, my dad died when I was 10. When I was 16 years old, I watched my mom from the age of 10 to 16. Even though my dad did really well and he left us with some money, enough money for my mom to take care of us. My mom was scared all the time. So even though we had money, we were actually like we were broke. It's a phenomenal thing. The middle class is it's like rich people that are broke.
Right.
And I know people that have $1 million, they act like they're broke.
Well, they spend money on all the wrong stuff, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, or they don't know how to bring in new money. There's just this limited thinking. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll tell you, the people that are in the most danger are people that think they have enough and they actually don't have enough. Mm-hmm. So it might be a guy that's making $400,000 at Morgan Stanley. I was doing a gig for one of the big financial institutions, and the average earner in the room was making $400,000. I did another gig for a big insurance company. The average earner made $970. I said, you guys' biggest problem? You think you make a lot of money. You basically think because you make $400 or $970 or whatever your number is, or $100,000 or $80,000, you think, or you got a little bit of money in savings, you think you make enough money, but you only find out you don't have enough when the game changes and something happens that you didn't plan on, and all of a sudden you're like, you're like my mom. I'm 16 years old, and my mom's clipping coupons, scared to death every day. Turn the lights out. Don't flush the toilet. Wait till later. Save money every possible way that we could. Clipping coupons. I hated seeing my mom scared like that. So when I was 16, I'm like, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to get so rich, I don't have to worry about money every single day. I have not yet accomplished that. I'm working on it. But I want to be able to give money to my church and not worry about it. I want to be able to go on a vacation and not worry before, during, and after the trip. That I had to cut edges, cut corners everywhere I went just to go on a vacation.
Totally. And where did you kind of take it from there? You made this decision that you wanted to be rich. What was kind of that first vehicle for you? Because I know a lot of younger entrepreneurs, they're like, well, where the hell do I start, man? Where's the best place to start?
You start where you are, man. I'm 16 years old. I didn't know what to do. I had to finish high school. Okay. Right. And the first thing I did was go backwards. Which, by the way, is not a bad thing to do. Just go as fast as you can. It took me 9 years to go broke. Okay, I went from 16, where I had a bicycle, a car, clothes on my back. By the time I was 25, I thought less of myself at 25 years old than when I was 12. My self-esteem was bankrupt. My spiritual condition was bankrupt. My finances were worse than they were when I was 8. Mm-hmm. I went backwards. So some of you got to go backwards first. I went backwards. But what I didn't do was I never gave up on the dream, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I think I can look around and see all the other people. I'm like, dude, I know I can get rich. I would start reading books about rich people. What did they do? So, I took all the mistakes I made between 16 and 25, which were a bunch of mistakes. I didn't have a purpose going to high school. I had no purpose when I went to college. I didn't go in there and learn everything I could. I didn't get mentors. I didn't have a reason. I was dispersed. I was using drugs and screwing around and wasting time and not paying attention and just being rebellious. But the thing I did right was I never quit on the dream, man. So when I was 25, one day after saying to myself 1,000 times, I'm going to turn my life around. Keep in mind, for 9 years, my life was screwed up. I mean, bad. Mm-hmm. 1,000 times I had said, I'm going to turn my life around today. And then one day, boom, it stuck. One day, something happened. So that day, I started reading again. I started studying. I started, making some hard decisions, no drinking on the weekends. In fact, I made a decision not to have a drink of alcohol until I was rich. And that would be 25 years. I was rich way before that, but where I was like, when you start doing things at work, you're like, hey, why don't I just keep doing that, right?
Right.
No reason to screw it up. So I went into sales. I hated sales. And I decided before I quit sales, because I hated it, I'm going to be great at it, and then I'm going to quit it. And that was a huge turnaround for me. I don't know if it makes sense to other people, but I learned how to get great at things I didn't like. You know, how do you embrace something you don't like? How do you embrace an environment? You're looking around, you're like, I don't like the people here. I'm going to get great at this environment, and they're going to all look up to me. Rather than just blowing out of the environment, rather than always trying to change my environment by moving to another one, I decided to change my environment by getting great in it.
Wow. How do you do that? How do you just decide I'm going to be great and really make that happen?
You commit. You become obsessed with one thing.
Totally.
You have to become obsessed with one thing, in the beginning.
And how do you determine what's kind of that right thing to be obsessed with?
Follow the money, baby. If we're talking about money, follow the money. Where's the money?
Especially now, though, with the so many different things we have in terms of options, guys get confused and they go way off on the wrong track. How can you help them stay straight, Grant?
Well, first of all, you're going to have to learn how to sell things.
Right.
You're going to have to learn how to sell yourself, market yourself, and promote yourself. So anybody that tries to do this without going into without learning sales, you're making a huge mistake. Talk to Warren Buffett, talk to Mark Cuban, talk to Richard Branson, talk to any of these cats, okay? Look, ask them how they feel about sales. And they get this glow on their face, Everybody wants to get rich without, doing the sales thing. It's like everybody wants to go to heaven, nobody wants to die.
Right.
So look, if you're not going to learn how to sell, network, promote, market, handle objections, close, do 20-second elevator pitches, if you're not willing to brag and boast and back it up with some real goods, even if you hate sales, look, if you got a great idea for a tech company, you're going to need investors. And then when you need investors, that means you're going to have to make a sales pitch. And you're going to have to convince them that they should take their money and invest it with you when they got 1,000 other guys, maybe 10,000 other guys pitching them a similar or better idea. So you got to learn the sales thing. And I knew that. I remember my dad telling me how important it was to learn how to sell and market and brand and promote, and that if you could sell, if you could do the dirty, the nasty, that you could actually control your revenue. You could control how much money you made. And so I think people, even if they have a job right now, you're 23 years old and you got a job that you hate, dude, get close to the revenue. Follow the money, okay? You're separated from the revenue. If you're the receptionist or you're in the internet department, look how much closer you could get to the revenue of the company you're working in, because if you can tap into the revenue vein and help the company make more money, if you could actually make the company richer, you got a chance of getting richer.
That's a huge point, because I think a lot of people are stuck in all these things that keep them busy so they can say, they're, quote, hustling. Yeah. But they have no idea what's creating dollars and cents. And that's where obsession goes.
Yeah, I had a guy tell me the other day, he wrote me on Snapchat, I think it was. He's like, dude, I'm tired of making everybody else rich. I said, bro, if you're tired of that, you'll never get rich. You have to make other people rich. If you can't make other people rich, you're not getting rich. So if you're not willing to make the people that you work for rich right now, you're not getting rich. If you're not willing to take on a job that everybody else hates, I went into car sales, man, with a college degree. Nobody wants to be a car salesman. Nobody. And nobody says, yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay? So I was in car sales because it's the only place I could get a job. And one day, rather than resenting it, and hating on it and bitching about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get great at this. And it was interesting because it wasn't even hard to get great at it, because everybody else around me sucked, because everybody else hated it. So I made a decision. 30 days later, the next thing you know, I go from being a punk salesman to a freaking, I thought I was the shit, dude. I was good. Compared to what I was like, I like this thing already. Within a year, I was in the top 1% in the industry. And when you're performing at high levels in a space that you don't even like, and you're starting to get admiration from other people, and other people saying, what are you doing? How do you do that, man? What changed? All of a sudden you like what you're in because you're at the top of the field.
Right.
And what's interesting, Jeremy, is I ended up being 4 or 5 years after that, I ended up using the automobile industry that I originally hated to build my first business and make my first $1 million.
Wow. So you would say sales is kind of the biggest thing in terms of a skill set that you've concentrated on.
You're not going anywhere without that skill set.
Wow.
Ask Mark Cuban. Hey, man, when you evaluate a company, Mark, what do you look at? Sooner or later on Shark Tank, they're going to ask one question. Every show, what are your sales?
Right.
Well, we really don't have any yet. We're working on it. We have a couple of, but the idea and the product are so good. So what? The product is good, So what? The idea is good. They got a bunch of good ideas out there. Totally. You got to sell the product. You got to sell the idea. They got terrible products on the marketplace that are outselling great products because somebody embraced the sales cycle and the distribution and the availability and getting out of obscurity and getting known.
Totally. And that's one of the frequent topics that we've had on this show. And I asked Gary Vee about this too, is about millennials being lazy. And do you think the millennial generation is lazy? And, from your viewpoint, is there maybe a certain way they can become more successful?
Well, number one, I love Gary. Gary's a good guy. Me and Gary have some completely different views of a number of these things. He believes entrepreneurs can't be made, that they're just DNA genetically created. I absolutely don't believe that. Anybody can learn to be an entrepreneur. If Gary Vee can be a successful entrepreneur, okay, anybody can do it, okay? If I can make it, dude, look, I own 5 businesses that'll do $100 million this year, okay? If I can do this, anybody can do it. If you want to do it, you can't. And also Gary says, a guy that makes 40 grand working for a company is better off working for himself and making the same 40 grand. I completely disagree with that. Nobody is better off making 40 grand. Because, dude, you're in poverty at 40K. Would appear to make you rich. The reality is you cannot move on planet Earth with 40 grand. You can't expand, you can't grow, you can't get known. So the other thing Gary says is he doesn't do anything he doesn't like to do. Dude, that's good for Gary. Dude, I picked up shit, urine. I still do it today. I do whatever I got to do, bro. I'm taking care of myself, my dreams, my family, my church, my community. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm never above doing stuff that I don't want to do. So back to the point about the millennials. Dude, millennials are the smartest generation of people that I have ever seen.
Wow.
And by the way, they're not lazy. They're just not stupid. Okay? They're hung up. They're a little bit trapped they're looking around, seeing their moms and dads and their grandparents and saying, hey, all this stuff you guys believe in, dude, failed you. Buying a house failed you. That wasn't a good deal. That was a terrible deal. The middle class is built on buying a house. You lost your mobility. Mom and dad bought a house in Mobile, Alabama, and lived there for 35 years. Okay? Mm-hmm. They couldn't move when the jobs. What about Detroit? They're in Detroit or they're in Chicago in some bad neighborhood and they bought a house. They're stuck. Right. I can't move. I got a mortgage. Okay, the economy changes. My jobs, opportunities are in some other part of the world. Maybe they're in Panama, or maybe they're in Saudi, or maybe they're in another part of Arizona, and I need to leave and I can't because of the house. So they saw that fail. They saw the colleges fail them. We got $1.3 trillion worth of debt. Me and Gary do agree on the college thing. It's a total scam, dude. Mm-hmm. If you're not going there with a purpose, I mean like a big purpose, and going to the top schools and meeting the top people on this planet that can get you connected, there's no reason to go to college unless you're a brain surgeon. And who would want to do that?
Right.
So I just think millennials are really, really bright people. They're in a catharsis of change, of really dynamic change right now, and they're a bit rebellious about the things they've seen that haven't worked. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of puke on everything else right now. But dude, they're going to straighten it out. I think they're really bright people.
Well, how do they straighten it out? If they're seeing that what their parents have done isn't working, they're not making money to really get ahead, and instead of just becoming affected to that, how do they actually decide to do something about it? You
got to look. Pick any topic, any topic. Mm-hmm. So the millennials out there thinking, you pick any topic, you need money. Mm-hmm. I don't care what it is. Girlfriend, boyfriend, project, vacation, hospice. I don't care, man. You need money to get there. You need money to stay there. Okay? You need money. You guys need money. You need a lot of money. You need way more money than you're ever dreaming about. That's why when somebody says, hey, you can make 60 grand working for yourself, you make 60 grand working for yourself, you should put a gun in your face. Okay? It's going to be the worst money you ever made in your life. You're better off working for somebody else for 60 grand. Okay? I'm telling you, you'll never be able to do a 35-hour or 40-hour week working for yourself and make 60 grand. Mm-hmm. It's slavery. Okay, so follow the money, guys.
I love it.
If you're making 60 grand a day, okay, you can actually change things. You guys just bitching and moaning and groaning and rebelling and protesting, you ain't changing nothing for nobody. Mm-hmm. Okay? If you want to do your own deal, dude, get freaking successful, get famous, and get rich. Then you can change things. Poor people do not change things.
Totally.
Okay? People that just get by do not have the weaponry. They do not have the artillery to change things. Very few people that have nothing change things. There might be a few of these cases, and I know some people are going to hate this interview. They're going to be like, dude, that guy's an asshole. Okay? Okay? I tell you what, dude, you can call me an asshole if you want to, but I've been a broke asshole, I've been a just make enough asshole, and I've been a rich asshole. So, if I'm going to be an asshole, I know which one I want to be. I want to be one. When you climb up in my asshole, it's all gold rimmed out. So you know what I'm saying? Now I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that, dude, because why do you guys hate on people that say they want to get rich?
Right.
See, this is your mommy and daddy. The same mommy and daddy you rebel on, you inherit some of their ideas. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't want to be a 1%er. Me either. I want to be like a 0.0003 of 1%er.
Well, because money is energy, and that's the only way you're actually going to do anything.
Exactly, man. Money is energy, bro. The people that get out there and do big things, they're not criminals and thieves. Those guys go to jail. Mm-hmm. Okay? Or they end up dying with these black souls.
Right.
See, I make a lot of money, and I'm happy, man. They say money doesn't make you happy. I'm like, well, you never made any money, dude. Mm-hmm. I did a deal 3 years ago. I just sold it yesterday. I made $9 million on the deal. I got a check for $9 million, okay?
Wow.
Okay, I'm like, dude, I'm happy. I got to tell you, man, I saw a check for 9. It's got 7 digits in it. Commas. 2 commas. I'm like, damn, dude, that's freaking sick. You know, why does it make me happy? Because I made a good decision. I put my money where my balls were. Okay, I put my money on the line. I made a good decision. It worked out. I was right. When other people didn't buy it, I did. Okay, I was right. Makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. Now, if I can do that, 30 or 40 times a year, or 100 times in my life, or 1,000 times, the more right you can be in life, okay, the better you're going to feel about yourself. It's really not about money, okay? But if you're going to be right over and over, you should get paid. Right. That's the marketplace. And anybody that rebels against the marketplace paying you, if you don't like the money, then give it away now. But right now, you can't do either one. Mm-hmm. I was in an unemployment line when I was 21 years old. I'm in the unemployment line, dude. Okay? Now, if you've ever been in an unemployment line, you know what that feels like. It's terrible. Okay? Unless you forgot what it's like, because the first time you were in the line, you never imagined you were going to be in that line. Bill Gates says, if you were born poor, that's one thing. If you stay poor, that's another thing. If you're born poor, it's not your fault. If you stay poor, shame on you.
Right.
So I know I felt miserable, man, at 21 years old, standing in an unemployment line with an education when at 8 years old and no education, I had more money than I had at 21. Something wrong with that, man. So be obsessed with your money. Be obsessed with getting money. Be obsessed with doing great things with money.
Well, and that's a point that's been coming up again and again in what we've been talking about here. I know your latest book, Grant, is called Obsessed. What does being obsessed mean to you?
All in, man. It means you embrace the freak, dude. You embrace that. Whatever people are labeling you. I've been labeled ADD, ADHD, COD, OCD. I mean, they got so many. I'm like, bro, look. I've been prescribed Ritalin, Prozac, lithium. There was another drug they wanted to put me on. I never took any of these drugs. I took a half of a lithium once, and I'm like, no way, man. Everybody was trying to bring me down a notch to fit in with them. Okay? Well, they would have done that to Mozart. They would have done that to Mick Jagger. Back in the day, Mick Jagger, if the prescription drugs were around, they would have put Mick on him. But Mick's smoking so much weed, dude, nobody can slow him down, right? So he's doing cocaine and everything. He doesn't do any of that stuff anymore. And he would tell you today, dude, don't do any of that. So all the freaking, the geniuses, okay, were labeled defects.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them said, you know what, I'm going to take this defect that you call a defect because I don't look like you anymore. I don't act like you. I got more energy than you. And I'm going to use that. I'm going to hold that. I'm not going to drug it. I'm not going to prescribe it down. I'm not going to mislabel myself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to embrace that energy. So I've always wanted to be rich. I know this sounds arrogant. I know I've been told this. You telling me I'm arrogant, trust me, come up with something new because I've already heard it 100 times. I'm arrogant. I'm conceited. I'm greedy. Okay, I wanted to be rich. I've wanted to be famous. I wanted to write books since I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I want to become a household name. I want to be happy, dude. I want to have it all, man. Okay, and I don't know a lot of people walking around saying that stuff. Everybody's playing the humble card. Oh, I just want to help people. Well, good, dude. I want to help people too. You can't help anybody if you ain't got money, and you can't help anybody if nobody knows you. It's impossible. You can't help anybody if you don't have an opinion. You can't help people if you're not confident. So embrace it, man. Own it. Okay, label yourself before everybody else labels you.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you had to look at your business career as a whole, Grant, what would you say is your biggest failure, but what did you learn from that? Because I think that's really where we grow, is when we screw up, but at least we learn something and we get bigger and keep going.
Yeah, well, I hear you, but I grow more when I'm winning, man. so like you guys, you don't need to make losing a, you don't need, if you got to lose to learn, you're in trouble because you could lose it all, right? Now, that being said, the biggest mistake I've made is going into business with people that I didn't research. I felt good about them. Here's a huge mistake I made. A guy named Ralph and Rob come around. I like them. They're buddies. They get involved in some things I'm already doing. And I couldn't ask them the hard questions. Hey, show me your financials. Show me your checking account. Show me your money. You said you did this. Show it to me. Because I couldn't ask them, I felt I didn't want to ask them. I got too close to these guys and I didn't ask them, and then they ripped me off.
Wow. If
I'd have asked them, if you can't ask people close to you, if you're going to go into business with somebody and you can't ask them, show me, don't do business with them. Because if you can't ask them that, okay, if you can't ask them the hard stuff, they can hide it from you, or worse, you guys can't have the hard conversations when you need to. So I trusted what somebody said rather than saw for myself what the truth was.
Totally. Well, Grant, we're about to come in for a landing, but before we do, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Hit it, baby. Hit it.
Out of all the projects you've worked on, what's been most fulfilling for you and why?
Oh, helping people, man. I love helping people. I mean, I financially, all I should do is buy real estate. I mean, if you saw the 5 companies, all I should do is buy real estate every day, but it doesn't fulfill me. I am fulfilled by helping people. I'm not getting paid to do this podcast, okay? I get more enjoyment from doing this with you, Jeremy, than making $9 million on a real estate deal. As hard as that might be to believe, most people would have taken a vacation today. They'd be like, I'm off, I'm done, for the week. But I'm here with you, man. So that really makes me, it makes me, if I can touch one person, okay, if 4 people hate this interview and one guy likes it, that's all I care about.
Well, and coming from us young guys, that means a lot, Grant.
Yeah.
You are selected to give a commencement speech. What topic do you cover and why?
I think I covered the money, man. I covered the money, man. Follow the money, bitches. You can't help anybody without money, man. Okay, like nobody wants to have this conversation. Everybody wants to act like money's a problem.
Totally. Do you have one quote that you've leaned on through your success?
Success is my duty. Okay, and success is not something I did. It's something I'm gonna do. It's not what I did yesterday. It's not that deal I sold and made $9 million on. Success is always the next thing. It is not something in the past. The past is the past. And I save that for my competitors. Let them be satisfied with the past. I'm interested in what's next. And that's my duty to fulfill that. By the way, the first thing that I protect is my dreams. It's not my kids. It's not my wife. It's not my marriage. It's my dreams, because those dreams were with me before my 2 little girls. If I can protect and save my dreams, okay, and protect and grow my dreams, then I can actually protect and grow my marriage. I can protect and grow my kids. If you abandon your dreams, you'll abandon everything.
Totally. What about one book that's had a big effect on your life?
Huge book. I mean, I've read thousands of books, but one book that had a huge impact was a book called Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. Also another book he wrote called The Problems of Work, which really made sense to me about how to enjoy and love the work I'm doing. But dude, I've read so many books. OPM, I read that book when I was 30 years ago. Other People's Money. Read Think and Grow Rich, The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Richest Man in Babylon. I mean, I could just go on and on.
Totally. What entrepreneur do you admire most and why?
I mean, when I think of entrepreneurs, I think about Big Warren, Warren's the man. I mean, he's a brilliant sales guy. I know nobody thinks about Warren Buffett being a sales guy, but the same ones you would: Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett. I like Warren because Warren, he's done so well across so many different platforms. I mean, I like his investing style. Like, he understands what he's investing in.
Mm-hmm. Well, people have very different definitions of success, but if you got to define success for yourself, what does it mean?
Yeah, well, I covered that earlier. Like, success it's the next thing I'm going to do. It's the reaching my potential, not some achievement that you might think, wow, that's great, you got a plane, bro. But I already have the plane, man. I know that. I know I can do the plane. What's my potential? The plane's not the potential. Okay, a best-selling book is not my potential. Can I sell 10 million of these? Can I get known? Can I get known by people in India? Could I get 10 million people to know my name in India? Could I become a household name in China or Taiwan or in South America? People know me in America. Can I become a household name in the Philippines? See, I have the potential. The technology exists. I have the energy for it. I have great content. Now, am I willing to do that and make that a reality?
Totally. Well, Grant, I really appreciate you hanging out with us today. If our listeners want to connect and find out more about what you're doing, where's the best place to do that, man?
Dude, be obsessed. Be obsessed or be average. Get this book, okay? It's at Amazon right now. I'm releasing it. It's going to be a New York Times bestseller. You're going to be getting the #1 New York Times bestseller. Well, starting the week that this is going to drop, so you guys are getting first shot at it. Be obsessed or be average. It's a game changer book for you, okay? Because it's going to give you permission to completely own who you are. And then by doing that, find your true purpose and genius.
Totally. Well, Grant Cardone, thank you so much for being on the Create Your Own Life podcast today.
Yeah, let's go create your own life.
Love it.